The biggest thing I wanted to share with everyone is we had a very unique way of getting into companies. So once we had this idea and got a hold of Bold Patents and found out that we thought we had a really good idea, we made a prototype and we probably put this, it's an athletic item. I don't want to get into detail on it, but it has to do with the world of swimming. And I've been a swimmer all my life. And I came up with this just out of the blue. We didn't think it would even work, and it did. And as a matter of fact, we had 100% positive results from 100 swimmers that tried it on, everywhere from novice swimmers all the way up to gold medalists in the past Olympics. That are a prototype. We don't have a final product yet. We have licensed it. So the first thing that we decided to do, and my partner Jay and I both are on the patent. We work together because he's the one that had all the technology to make the prototypes. It's the first thing the company. First of all, we looked to see how valuable our idea was. In other words, we knew that we didn't just have an improvement over what was existing. And that's an important key factor, because a lot of these companies don't just want another way to strap something on or this or that, because they've already got their product line. They really don't want to retool for something. We had something so unique, we called it revolutionary. I mean, that we were that bold with it. And it really, what we did really was ultimately. The next thing we did, what I want to get to is how we got into these companies. So we listed the companies in the swimming world that produce swimming products, and we went 1 to 7. We went from the biggest ones we knew, and you saw them all on the caps at the Olympics. You know, everybody was sponsored by. I'm going to tell you, we went with our 4th choice because they weren't real big, but they were in the United States. They had a good reputation for innovative stuff, but we wanted to go big, just like everybody else did. So what we did while we were doing the prototype and really getting our act together, instead of a spreadsheet, we decided to go ahead and do a video to actually show this item. And that is one key thing that I would like to emphasize with anyone who's making a physical product. Because when we started trying to get into these companies, they really wanted to know if we've tested it, do we have a prototype, how many people have we tried it on. They even wanted to know if we did a market study. Well, we don't know how much it would cost to produce, the injection molds and all that. So we were honest about that. And that wasn't a major thing. They were more concerned about the reaction to what we had done. Okay. So we had everything really ready to go. Okay. So now we've got 1 through 7 that we're going to contact.
Real quickly, Tom.
Yeah.
How hard was it to get 1 through 7 on the phone or get a meeting with decision makers?
Well, initially it's very hard. So my next point is make sure you take notes. Take notes on your research of the companies. We found companies that had already been bought and sold 3 times in the past 2 years. They're in financial trouble. You're going to find a lot out by researching reviews on companies. That's number one. You're going to learn a lot. So when we try to approach these companies, you're going to get on the phone. You're going to get the customer service. Michelle's on the phone, and you're going to tell her that you would like to speak to your new product development guy or girl or team. Yep. And she's going to say, well, we have a portal on our website that you can submit your idea. Well, first of all, you don't have an NDA in place, so you're not just going to spill your guts on this thing. Okay.
Yes.
But this is why it's important to take notes. Because you might find out who this person is that you need to contact. So let's say his name is John Dingledine. Don't ask me where I came up with that.
I hate that guy.
Yeah. So John, so you got his name. So next time you call Michelle, you say, hey, can I speak to John? John D. and product. She goes, may I say who's calling? You say Tom Stegman, figuring they know, and so you got John. Now that's still kind of rare. The thing is, you got to be patient and persistent. They don't want a phone call every single day. Okay. But here's what we did. Because we were testing our swim product on so many swimmers, we were in contact with coaches. We were in contact So we went to a pool, and the coach knew somebody that represented them, one of the companies that actually gave him team gear. And he called the company for us and said, hey guys, you got to check this out. These guys came up with something really cool. Okay, so that's how we got into one company. Another company was, the other little trick I did, and I probably shouldn't emphasize this because this could backfire on you. Let's say it's John Dingledine and you're not getting into John.
That's not what JD stands for, by the way. I'm not John Dingledine, just so you guys know. Okay.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I didn't think about that. Sorry,
good.
All right. So if you know that you know at such and such company.com, all you have to do is get his name in front of it. So it's either JD with periods, or it's just, in other words, you got it. If you know someone else in the company, you can figure out how to do him and you can get right into him. Now that may sound sneaky, but I don't think it is. Now, the other thing you've got to get prepared, whether you talk to somebody on the phone or you finally get an email from this guy, you need to have your 1-minute spiel ready. They don't want a lengthy, this thing is great, They want, so when we called, we said, hey, we've got a revolutionary new swim blank. And we've tested it on 100 swimmers with 100% positive results. They all want to buy one. And we think you ought to look at it. We think it would be something that you'd be interested in. And that's pretty much how we got into these companies. So then, the next step is to get your NDA in place. They say, yeah, where do we go from here? Can you send us one? Sure. Can you send us a CAD drawing? Sure. But we had a video. We said, let's set up a video Zoom meeting where you can meet me and my partner, Jay. You can see the video. It'll explain everything and we can go from there. Now, what we found out with the NDAs was very important. And I'm sure you guys have been through this. You can learn a lot about a company's attitude from their NDA. I mean, we had one major company that mostly is in basketball and baseball, but they did have some swim products. They basically said, if we send it in to us, send the NDA back, and if we like it, we'll give you fair compensation for it. We're like, whoa. We had another company that, so that was company number 5. Number 3 actually sent us a 9-page NDA. I don't know how many attorneys they had on their staff. And it was, you can't sue us for any more than $50,000. And what's interesting, you can find a lot about NDAs. So I suggest, and I know you guys probably do too, you want them to send you theirs first so that you can review. And you're going to get a lot of attitude just in the way they sent you the NDA and the way they talk to you on the phone. That's very, okay, so we kind of Frankensteined our own NDA if they asked us to send one. We did a pretty simple one, pretty good one.
You didn't do this on your own, right, Tom? You got a business attorney to help you.
Well, we should have. This is the only, JD, this is the only time that we did good with it, but it's the only time that we did not get professional help throughout the whole process, from using you guys, which was awesome, to our final licensing agreement. We got a contract attorney. So yeah. So anyway, we have our NDAs in place. We showed them the product. The other thing is keep taking notes, because you're going to learn so much. You got to get names of people. You're going to be meeting different people. And so we wound up with number 4. It was very interesting. One group, they were home base in Italy, and they were a very major swim outfit supplier. And their NDA, they actually said, if we have litigation, you have to come to Italy. So that we got over that because we want it where we live, and they took care of that. But we were still nervous about how big they were and the fact they weren't in the country. And I think that's a very important consideration to make. So the approaches we took were very, very slow and methodical. I guess what I'm recommending is See if there's another way to get into the company through a third party, like my example of the coach that I used. I also had another coach. There's magazines on any topic. Okay, you pick any topic. There's a monthly magazine or bi-monthly, or there's a website that everybody looks at for that sport, triathlete, baseball, whatever. So we knew somebody that knew an editor of this particular site and magazine, and they called for us and said, "Hey, you ought to check this thing out." And that person actually, we told him when he called me, I said, "We can't get into this number one company. We can't get in." And he said, "I'll get you in." I had a good recommendation from, University of Florida coach, let's say. And he said to check it out. So I would suggest, if you're real serious about how good your item is, that you do due diligence on prototype, presentation if you can, by video. You get your 1-minute spiel ready, because that's all you're going to have with somebody once you get them, and then go from there. And the other patient part is, we didn't talk a lot about. They wanted to see our attitude, and we wanted to see their attitude. It was like, eventually you're going to get married. And when we got frustrated, Jay and I thought, well, let's make it ourselves. Let's just make it ourselves. Well, we don't know what we're doing. We're in retirement age. And finally, I said, Jay, you know what? We don't know the market. We don't know how to make it. I mean, we probably could figure it out. But let's say we can sell 10,000 units and profit $12. That's $120,000, which is ridiculous. We know that's still unreal, probably. Where we take it to somebody and they're saying, hey, we're going to make 100,000 of these in the first year and take $3 or $2. I mean, do the math, $20,000, and you're not doing anything. They've got all the markets. They know how to do all the international stuff. They've been through infringement lawsuits before, and they know how to.
The audience here on edge. Swim cap, mask, flippers. Are you under NDA? Can you not discuss the actual invention?
I'm gonna show it to you.
I did look up the patent because I was curious too, Jonathan. And
what is it?
It is cool.
Yes, I know it is.
My daughter's a competitive swimmer. So
JD, that's what everybody says when I walk on the pool deck. They go, "What is it?"
Yeah.
Okay, your foot goes in here, and it only goes past the ball of your foot and stops. It's soft silicone. My partner Jay and I, we thought, there's no way this is going to stay on your foot. Like you put a sock on the end of your foot and it flips off. Well, think of the torque in the water. We didn't think it would work. But I grew up with Jay. He was my college roommate. He does 3D printing and laser technology. His son swam for Purdue and said, "Dad, that's not going to work." Anyway, he made 2 pair, put them on his feet, went in his backyard pool, and he called me. And we were calling each other Orville and Wilbur, by the way. We had fun doing that. So he says, "Wilbur, not only I can't get it off." And I go, "What?" He says, I can't get it off. I go, "What are you talking about?" "Well, when you put it on in the water and you squeeze the water out, it sucks on your foot." So physics is our friend. You really do have to analyze. I mean, everybody who invents something thinks they've got Velcro. I mean, it's part of the ego. And I admire anybody that's being creative. But we lucked out that we really had something that was unique that nobody thought of. I mean, nobody had thought of this and why it would even work. Most people are doing an alternative to what's already out there. And a lot of these companies are they've got people on staff that are supposed to be thinking of a better way to put something on or do something. And so when we got all done with the licensing and we talked to the owners and everything, when all the cards were on the table and we had signed the deal, I said, "Let me ask you something. Why did you give us a shot?" And he said, "Because you said revolutionary, and you had tests, you had a video, you had already done so much data that was important." I said, "Okay, my second question is, how many people contact you with the next greatest thing? And I thought that was interesting. He goes, about 1 or 2 a week. So maybe 50, 60, 80 throughout I go, really? I wouldn't think it was that much. He goes, oh, we're getting calls for better way to put goggles on. And, so I thought that was interesting at how many phone calls they do get. And he said, but you never know if there's a diamond in the rough either. So you got to give everybody that 1-minute phone call.
That's awesome. Tom, thank you so much for sharing that
Great,
story.
great advice. Really great advice, Tom.